Hello to everyone out there listening to Lilia's Sunday podcast. And today you're listening to the 11th episode of Lilia's Sunday podcast. This is Lilia, a girl from Ukraine who's been teaching English for many years and who's absolutely in love with this language. I'd even say I'm mad about it and I'm really fond of what I'm doing. I feel I don't talk about myself at all on the podcast, so would you like to know more about me? Just let me know. I don't really feel like sharing my private details on the podcast, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll try to answer as many of you as possible. Maybe in one of the podcasts, or maybe just by email or on Facebook. Alright, and feel free to tell me how you're getting on. Is everything fine in your life, right? Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for listening to the podcast. And you're even a better listener if you leave your comments on the podcast and send me your messages. In fact, I get quite a lot of comments on the podcast, so I'm afraid I can't physically respond to everybody, but I do read all of your messages and feel on cloud nine when listeners tell me how useful they found the podcast or that it helped them a lot with their English. So I'm very happy if I realise that what I'm doing is useful and not just doing it in vain just because I love speaking English, and I just decide to spend every Sunday morning just chatting with my mobile phone, right? And sometimes my family listening to all of this rambling, okay? I just hope that's not in vain. Right, today I think I'm going to focus on something different from speaking. I think I mostly do episodes on speaking and listening, but I guess I tend to ignore other aspects of the language, like reading and writing. So writing is what we'll talk about today. How can you start writing better in English? It seems like when you speak, ideas seem to connect together and everything flows and it's fine. But writing presents you with many other problems like spelling, grammar, consistency and appropriate style and word choice. So that all is very difficult, right? Anyway, just some people say that writing is easier because you have time to think about what you're writing and when you're writing. And this is not something that you have when you speak. But at the same time, the majority of learners of English find writing the most challenging skill to pick up or teach if you're a teacher. So here is my advice on what you can do to become a better writer today. This might be particularly useful if you want to make yourself just write something, if you just have some work ahead of you and you need to start doing it, right? If this is an essay or an academic writing, an academic piece of writing, it doesn't really matter. If the main thing you have to do today is writing, then this is the right thing to listen to. And I hope I can give you some ideas to encourage you to write, and help you write better. So the most difficult part is always to start. If I have to write an essay or something academical, I tend to concentrate better when I'm out of bed and wearing something neat and nice. And most importantly, I have all sorts of stuff I may need on my table, like a dictionary and my laptop, and the internet connection is good and there are no problems with signal, right, if I have to consult someone on Skype or something like that. And I don't like wearing my pyjamas as I'm writing. Well, of course I don't wear an evening dress or a cocktail dress as I'm writing, but wearing neat and tidy clothes puts me in the right mood and I concentrate better. So before you start writing, it is important to organise your thoughts. Write a plan or draw a mind map, add more ideas on your way, and making a plan is extremely important. Like, you need to have layouts of the paragraphs. If you feel that your essay starts having some organisation to it, you just stop panicking and relax and you will be able to produce a better piece of writing. And then comes like a really subtle and tricky bit, because I find this is something that my students do all the time. Don't just write something in your language, right, in your language one, in your mother tongue, and then paste it into Google Translate and copy the computer translation into your copybook, right? Firstly, the quality of the translation might not be that good, and most teachers can easily recognise that this is not something you've written yourself. Well, you know, as teachers, we're not stupid. Yeah, we perfectly know what our students' levels are, and we can presume how well they can write. Yeah, so if I know that one of my students is intermediate, they're clearly not able to produce like a super advanced or proficient piece of writing, yeah, with just posh vocabulary. Or just something like that, like really sophisticated piece of writing, just write for your level, and it is okay. Write as well as you can, not Google Translate. So when we ask a student to put aside the writing and describe the topic in their own words, they often get lost because they can't put two words together, and this is really embarrassing on the student's part. And for me as a teacher, I don't like to see a student struggling, right? And here's the second point. If you're translating your essay with a translation agent, you don't learn anything. This is very important, guys. All you do in English, you do for the main goal, to learn it. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. It's brilliant to be corrected. If you get corrected, you get a personal recommendation from your teacher on what you personally should improve and correct. And this is fantastic, isn't it? I think I need to record a podcast on error correction at some point. And about criticism. You know what? I get criticised every single day for what I do. But I just keep learning from that, because criticism is what actually makes me keep going, right? So paradoxically, criticism is what keeps you going. And in terms of improving the quality of your writing, you could go and ask your English teacher what differences there are between your first language and English, and afterwards focus on those differences. Writing is very good knowledge of grammar will hugely help, right? So grammar is very important if you're writing. So I'd recommend just improving your grammar and working on it, and just, you know, focusing on grammar. If you're doing a writing course, you'll most certainly study all different kinds of grammar, like tenses and parts of speech, and just clauses, all those types of things. So you'll study this because they're very important for writing, and they could explain lots of things to you if you're writing and you're making a mistake, and the teacher will have to tell you where the mistake is. And if you don't know grammar, there is a chance that you won't understand your teacher, right? Okay, so grammar is important. And I think you remember from the previous podcast, I always say, if you want to speak better, you need to listen a lot. And this rule applies here. If you want to write better, okay, now the moment of attention, read. Yeah, if you want to write better, read a lot. Before you start writing, go and read something about the same topic, so you will get some of the brilliant things from that. So that will help you activate your background knowledge of the topic, as well as give you some ideas, and most importantly, develop your instinct for correct English. At this stage, I'd like to recommend a great book to all of you who want to become better writers. It's called Strictly English by Simon Heffer, and there are a couple more in this series. So a friend gave it to me a few years ago, and I think it is the best book in the world on writing I could ever dream of. I think it's just brilliant. I think it is just fantastic, and it's intended for native speakers. So what it does, it looks at some of those tricky areas of language that most people struggle with. Okay, so it's Strictly English by Simon Heffer. Check it out. It is amazing. It's very helpful. I'm truly thankful to my friend who gave it to me just a couple of years ago, and I think it was just a great gift. So it makes a great gift to yourself, right? So you should invest in yourself if you're doing something, right? Because if you don't invest in yourself, whatever you're doing, you won't get this great result, right? So you need to invest in yourself, be it money, effort, time, whatever. Just go and invest in yourself, and this book would be just a fantastic investment. Okay, thank you all, guys. that's about it for this week. Of course, this is not everything about writing well, and if you want to know more, keep listening to Lilia's Sunday podcast. Keep tuned, right? Follow me on Podomatic, VK, and Facebook. I'm very happy to talk to you all, and I really love the fact that we all have this like connection, and that this is not only me sharing my thoughts with you, but it's also you expressing your ideas and what you can do to become a better writer or a listener or a speaker or a reader, whatever you're doing in English and whatever you're focusing on. Okay, so have a great day, have a lovely day, lovely morning, lovely afternoon, or a lovely night, whatever time of the day you have out there, and I'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye bye.